really meant a lot to me.
WRTN Inertia, the home of Midnight Metal. Of course, tonight dedicating the entire show to Cliff Burton of Metallica, who died early this Saturday morning in a tragic auto accident. The tour bus of Metallica going off the road during their tour in Sweden. It was early this Saturday morning that it happened. Metallica's minivan or tour bus, whatever you want to call it, was on way to Copenhagen from a gig in Sweden. And as we have learned, the driver of the bus fell asleep and causing the van or tour bus to go off the road. James, Kirk, and Lars had abrasions. As of now, Anthrax and Metallica are in Copenhagen, Denmark, in a hotel together, and we're going to bring you the latest on this tragic incident.
The last show that we played with Cliff was a spectacular show because it was the first show after maybe 6 or 7 weeks that James was finally back on guitar, because he had broken his arm during the Aussie tour, and his arm had healed enough so that he was actually able to play guitar. And it was the first show where we had James back, and it was the night that Cliff died. So everyone, Cliff, James, Lars, and myself, we were just so happy that James is back, and to have James's guitar, fucking fueling everything again, rather than me and John Marshall sharing that duty. We played really, really well and felt that, we were back 100%. Everyone was so inspired, and we played that show so well because we had not played like that in 4 or 6 weeks or whatever. So yeah, that last show was like one of the best shows we had played all fucking year. And in retrospect, I'm glad that we, Cliff's last show was special in that regards. It really was, in all respects, one of the best shows we had played. And Cliff was very, very happy. And so knowing that is just a good thing. Cliff and I, we used to room together, so we were super close. We were like brothers. So we'd hang out, hanging out, arms around each other. But literally, like 10 minutes later, we could be arguing and fucking wrestling on the ground. That's the kind of relationship we had. Total 100% honest. Emotions just out there all the time. Cliff would say this so much. He would say, "There's power in the truth. There's power in the truth. There's power in the truth. You have to be honest all the time. You have problems with me. I want you to tell me, blah, blah, blah." And I would tell him, he would tell me, and then he'd suggest ridiculous things like, "Okay, let's wrestle," or fisticuffs, or, the drinking contest, or "You got to show me this lick," or whatever. But, there was 2 weeks where it was just like a yo-yo. But, Jan Burton, Cliff's mom, was there, and she was around us a lot, as was Ray Burton. And they kept on insisting that we go on. And we're like, yeah. But, it really didn't really truly sink in until maybe about, 3 weeks or so. And we were just kind of looking at each other going, well, what's going to happen now? We have to continue. Cliff would have wanted us to continue. And as a tribute to Cliff's memory, it was important for us to go on. And so those first 2 weeks, it was up and down. We had no idea what was going on. I was thinking, what am I going to do? I was thinking guitar lessons, the old standby for musicians who can't find, any gigs or a band, you give guitar lessons, the old standby. That's what I was actually thinking. But it was the insistence of Ray and Jan Burton that I think really just pushed us into the decision to keep on going. And then when Jason came into band, it was only like 4 or 5 weeks after the accident. I mean, we were still grieving, and we were all pretty young too. We were in our mid-20s, and we didn't really have, or at least I didn't have a lot of experience with grieving and knowing how to deal with that and knowing how to heal and how to move on. And so I hate to say it, but Jason was became the scapegoat for all those feelings that we just did not know how to process. And to this day, I regret behaving like that and then taking that attitude. But I mean, we didn't really know better. And as far as the grieving period is concerned, I think we're all still kind of grieving, because I get emotional when I think about Cliff, and when we're together, think about Cliff. A lot. I know that James and we get really, really emotional, um, and so I mean, I would say for me, there's still some grief after all these years. It's just like after all these years, I can still feel that pain.